You probably already have a proofreading step in your publishing process, and you might find it a little bit boring. Proofreading can appear to be not the most fun part of writing, or you may already have a proofreading step in your publishing process and you really like it. You find it really helpful and it's an important part of the writing process for you. Whichever category you fall in, I think you are going to like the proofreading method that I use, because if you don't like proofreading, you might start seeing it as more creative than you have in the past. I think when you look at proofreading with a little bit of spin that I'm putting on it, you'll find that it can be actually a creative activity, which is more fun, which can be more fun. And if you already like proofreading, I think this is just going to enhance what you're already doing. So I think proofreading is important, especially if you struggle with perfectionism at all, because there can be a lot of negative side effects of perfectionism and a lot of dangerous territory that you can get into there. But I think one of the good things, or one of the good driving qualities of perfectionism, or what drives your perfectionism, is that you care. You care about the work that you're doing and you want to do a good job. So I think, yes, all of the more negative aspects of perfectionism aside, I think one really good part, or one positive aspect of perfectionism is it shows that you care about your work. I will joke, if I do come across any writing that seems a little bit sloppy or a little bit careless, that person could have used a little bit more perfectionism if they wanted to polish their writing more. It's a joke because I don't really wish perfectionism on anyone. It can be so stifling and it can hold you back in so many ways. And I'm always looking to overcome it as well. But it's a joke because, sloppy writing isn't the answer to perfectionism. So this method really can give you peace of mind that you are caring about your work. And any proofreading in general can do that. You don't specifically have to use the method that I'm going to talk about. But when you have a proofreading step in your publishing process that no matter what you do, it is showing that you care about your work, you care about doing a good job. And then if any mistakes tend to happen, those are just mistakes, or if any mistakes slip through the cracks, or, they do happen, that's just mistakes happening. Mistakes happen. And I don't want I like taking the stigma away from mistakes rather, because they are tools for learning. So they can be really helpful, and everyone makes them, so it's okay. However, there's a difference between a careless mistake and just commonplace mistakes that happen to everyone. A careless mistake is problematic because it could have been prevented if you took the extra time to polish your work. So I think a big part of overcoming perfectionism is just having a step where it's your final look. You care about your work, but you are also willing to let it go. And whatever happens doesn't have to be viewed as a mistake. It can just be viewed as an experience that you learn from. If for some reason there is some sort of error, that still happens, because it happens to me. But what I'm about to share, the proofreading method that I use, is so powerful. I love it so much because even when I have edited a document, I've proofread it in a normal proofreading way. When I use this method, I would say I would give it 100% success rate, which sounds like hype and not real. So let's tone it down to like 99% success rate of when I go through a document with this method, I will find something that I have overlooked. If I could have looked at the document 100 times and still overlooked an error, that I will find using this method. And if I don't find an actual error, like an actual mistake, such as a misspelling, a repeated word, an omitted word, actual errors in the text, if I don't find something like that, I will find just a way to make the writing better. And in that sense is where I'm hinting at how proofreading can be creative. Because again, if I'm not finding an actual error, I'm finding maybe a sentence that is a little bit clunky, that I can make better, that I've read 100 times already. But when I proofread in this way, it will pop out to me as, ooh, there's a way to improve that. If I split up the sentence, it will read a lot more clear to the reader. The reader will be able to understand the message a lot more effortlessly, which is always the goal. Or it could be that I find I want to use a different word. I'm very visual, so I was just picturing things in my head. I was picturing like a word that I've repeated a few times in the text already will pop out using this method. And then it will be an opportunity for me to refine the text and really make it stronger by substituting a word that I repeated in one of those instances with a different word that is more precise. And it doesn't even have to be, a repeated word. You could just find that you want to use a more precise word that you didn't realize when you were proofreading and editing the document in your traditional ways, but that you discover in the method that I'm about to talk about. So I've hyped it up. I've given it a very large introduction. So let me tell you exactly how you use it, because I want you to start using it right away if you think that it will work for you. So after you have edited your document the way that you normally do, and even after you have already proofread it, after you've that's the past tense of proofread, right? Proofread. After you've proofread the document, go to the very end of the document. Scroll down, whether it's something short or something long, go to the very end. I'm assuming it is in some sort of digital format on your computer. Go to the very end of the document. And if you have the option to make your screen bigger, make the text bigger. I like zooming in on text when I'm doing a final proofread. If you don't have that option in the format that you're working in, this method works fine. But when I've written about this tip before in the past, I don't think I've ever talked about how I zoom in. It's one of those things that you do and you take for granted sometimes. So I've never explicitly, I don't think, mention that step. So scroll down to the end of your document, make the screen big. Usually, I would say it depends how big of a screen you're on, but make it substantially larger than the normal typing and editing view, whether that's 2 or 3 times larger. It will depend on your screen. So something like that, just so the text is really big and you're at the very end of it. And you will start proofreading from the very last sentence of the document all the way up to the beginning of the document. And I casually refer to this as proofreading backwards, and someone always points out that that's not very accurate. It's just like a quick thing that sticks in my head. To describe it, it's not actually proofreading backwards because you're not going each letter from the end of the document to the beginning of the document, but more accurately, it is proofreading from the end of your document to the beginning of your document. So you would go, or you would start with the very last sentence, then you would go to the second to last sentence, and then the third to last sentence. And what you can use, I'm actually going to show you exactly what I use. I use a pen like this. This is also fun to talk about, even though I've written about this before. Oh, I'm going to put links in the description box below of the articles that I've written about proofreading and specifically this technique, because I have written about it several times. But the fun part of a video is I reference this pen that I've used. I've used this pen for years. But in writing, I've never taken a picture of it and put it in an article. Maybe I'll do that at some point. But this is Revision Fairy YouTube channel exclusive. This is what I use to proofread. And it has I gotta put it here so you can see. It has a squishy. It's actually broken because I've been using it for years. You can see that it comes off like that. Anyways, it's squishy. And I actually put it on my screen because it's not damaging the screen of my computer at all because it's soft. This is like a regular pen that I have, which works too. You just have to be a little bit more gentle because I don't want to jab it into my screen. So you would go to the last sentence of your document and put this squishy part on each word and read it slowly. Read that sentence slowly and really pay attention to each word as the pen is on it. And you do that slowly from the last sentence of your document all the way up to the first sentence. Now, what this accomplishes, it accomplishes several things that are easily overlooked when you have proofread your document just from the beginning to the end, which is the traditional way. You are kind of scrambling your brain a little bit so you don't get ahead of yourself and miss the mistakes that are easy to overlook when you are already familiar with what the text says. Because if it's your own writing, I use this on other people's writing and my own writing. And especially if it's your own writing, you're so familiar with it because you have written it, you have edited it, and then you've already proofread it. So you know what's coming as you're going through and reading it. And so this scrambles your brain a little bit, and you're really focusing on what words are there. So when you make a point to put the point of your pen on each word, and you have to also pay attention as you're doing this, you will see if you misspelled something. It's easier to catch a grammar error that you just thought was okay when you were reading it in a standard way from the beginning to the end. Those words that you duplicate by accident really pop out in this method. Again, if you've omitted a word by accident, there's a word missing in the sentence, really easy for those things to pop out with this method. So again, you're being really careful, and then you can have the peace of mind to let your writing go. And if for some reason you miss something, again, it's an experience that you can learn from, but you know that you really took the time to not make careless errors, because this method just, it really, really cuts down on those careless errors that people make when they don't take the time to slow down a little bit and do that final polish before they release their writing. And this tip is actually sort of related to last week's video in a roundabout way. If you haven't already watched last week's video, I'll link that in the description box below too. But like, this is my number one proofreading tip that I have success with, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback of the errors that I catch with this and have caught with this method over the years that have been overlooked by other people, and even me in other parts of the editing process that I catch in this step before an article is published. And you think, well, why am I giving away this secret? And that I've written about it many times before in the past, like I said. And the reason I can give it away is because nobody is me and nobody has my experience. So you really don't need to be paranoid about other people stealing the things that you do, because no one is you. And I'd be happy if lots of people started using this method and had success with it too. It does not take away from anything that I do. I do not feel threatened by it. And the sooner you can get to that place of your value is so much more than any secrets or that you're holding, that you have, that you do, that you think are special, or a piece of writing that you're scared to release because you don't want someone to steal that idea. You offer so much more value than those just specific things. You're the whole package. So I'm happy to give this tip away. And also, many people will not take the time to do this. So I don't really feel that, again, any of my worth is being diminished at all by other people knowing about this tip, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, and a lot of people don't do that, or they just feel too busy or too overwhelmed to slow down and do this step. And believe me, I've been working as a writer and an editor for a very long time, and I've had a lot of work to do. And I've been just as busy as everyone else. And taking the time to do this has it's just been really important in terms of me growing as a creative person, as a writer and an editor, because you can always, I've said this before in videos, all you have is your action. So you can get overwhelmed by everything busy that's going on, and don't take the time to have an intent and attention to detail, and deal with the frustrations that come up when you haven't paid attention to details, and then problems arise later. Or you can slow down, and you can do things that produce high quality work that lead to less problems and miscommunications and confusions in the long run, because you took the time to make sure your work was solid. Probably went off on a tangent, or I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but all that is related to next week's video as well. So if you are not already subscribed to the Revision Fairy channel, I make videos and post them once a week. They're about writing, editing, creativity, and productivity. So if you like that sort of stuff, click the red subscribe button below the video and turn notifications on, because then you won't have to worry about missing a video. You will be notified when I have uploaded something new for you to check out. And if you found this video helpful, if you are going to start using this proofreading method, where you go from the end of your document to the beginning of your document very slowly, and putting some sort of pointing device on each word once your screen is big, give this video a like, long description to say, hey, let me know if you like this. Thank you so much, and I will talk with you soon.